Many people believe that once they recognize a pattern in themselves, the next step is to fix it, or to stop it, or to get rid of it, to push it away as quickly as possible. But something surprising happens when we try to do that. See, the more we resist a pattern, in fact, the more we resist anything, the stronger it tends to become. You've probably heard, what you resist persists. Yes, hello, beautiful soul. My name is Judy K. Katz, and for 30 years, I've been working as a transformational coach and a spiritual mentor with high-achieving women who are on a personal growth path and spiritual awakening. Relationships are a key area of our lives. They become the doorway into the perfect set of circumstances for transformation from our conditioned self into the highest version of ourselves to occur. In my work, I often say something that sounds just a little counterintuitive at first, and it can be one of the most difficult challenges. You must accept where you are before where you are can change. Now, when people hear the word acceptance, they sometimes misunderstand what that means. So allow me to clarify that. First of all, I want to share with you what it is not. Acceptance doesn't mean agreeing with the pattern story about you. It doesn't mean you're resigning yourself to it either. And it certainly doesn't mean that you're stuck with it if you accept it. Acceptance simply means to be present and to be willing to see it clearly, to see what is happening within you and why, without making it wrong. Making something or someone else wrong is a form of resistance. Resistance shows up in many subtle ways too, especially for high-achieving women who are used to solving problems and improving things, right? While there is certainly nothing wrong with either of those intentions, but if our survival identity has perceived that there's a threat, then its underlying need to be safe and secure is going to dominate our behaviors and our emotions. Resistance can also look like trying to fix and improve yourself. You might judge your reactions by saying things like, oh, I should have or I shouldn't have, and then saying something that's belittling about yourself like, what's wrong with me? Well, these words, I should or I shouldn't have, or they should or they shouldn't have, they're key indicators that you're in resistance, trying to force yourself or someone else to behave very differently by making you or someone else wrong. Resistance also appears in our relationships. So for example, we might find ourselves correcting from a should posture rather than connecting, or explaining or convincing rather than listening, becoming defensive rather than being open, being critical with judgment rather than constructive and supportive. These behaviors often arise when our identity feels emotionally threatened. And there's generally 3 things that threaten our survival identity. So see if one of these might be true for you. Have you ever emotionally felt threatened if your public image was challenged, or your beliefs and your values were questioned, or when your expectations weren't met? And then, without realizing it, you might have engaged in either defensive or avoidant behaviors, all to keep from feeling difficult emotions like anger and fear, shame and guilt. So if any of these feel a little familiar to you, please don't judge by making yourself wrong. Just practice loving awareness. Identity patterns often work in a very paradoxical way. They remind me of something many of us played with as children. Remember the Chinese finger trap? So when you place your fingers inside this straw-like contraption, and then you push them, try to pull them out, and you try to pull them out fast, what happened? The trap tightened. And then the harder you would pull, the tighter it would become. And the only way to release it was to stop pulling and to slowly and gently release your fingers. Identity patterns work very much the same way. And the more we fight them and judge them to be wrong, or try to convince them to change with our logic and reasoning, right? The tighter that they tend to hold. But when we stop resisting and instead we become aware and accepting of the pattern, it begins to soften automatically. And only then we're going to be able to see all the parts of the pattern clearly without it controlling and overtaking us. The next thing I want to share is something that you might not have ever thought about, and I think you're going to really like it. Loving awareness and acceptance become the emotional environment, a greater power that dissolves the identity that drove those reactions in the first place. Okay, again, I want you to take a deep breath and hopefully a sigh of relief. You know, we're so used to making things happen, but the truth is, this greater power of awareness and acceptance, it requires us to allow for things to happen. So I invite you into a weekly practice. The next time you notice yourself reacting emotionally in a situation that's either internal or external, or you have regrets for reacting defensively in the past, try something different. Just pause for a moment and take a deep breath. You see, this interrupts the habit. And then I want you to notice what is happening in your body. You may feel tension in your shoulders, or tightness in your jaw, or contraction and tightness in your chest. And then I want you to notice the urge that you might have to push your emotional reaction away, or trying to stop it by telling yourself, I shouldn't react like that. Or if you did react, notice if you feel wrong about it. And then continue to notice how it feels when your inner critic condemns you for something that's not your fault. See, these reactions are just so fast and so automatic. Most of all, just be aware of how urgent it feels to fix it or push it away. Now, this might surprise you. That sense of urgency that you feel, that's a clue that your survival identity is resisting what just happened. So instead of trying to push that reaction away or falling prey to that inner critic, just simply notice it all and just breathe. When resistance is acknowledged, it becomes the threshold to a much deeper transformation. So again, just take a slow, deep breath and allow yourself to observe any feeling of resistance and any reactions with curiosity rather than judgment. This is a somatic practice, so be in your body. Feel into what the urgency and the resistance is like. Your body will feel contracted, and you'll likely notice a feeling to hurry up and do something. So when we meet our reactions with the power of awareness and acceptance, rather than the force of resistance, the survival identity that created them to begin with, it begins to lose its hold. And this is the turning point in identity transformation. Acceptance opens the doorway to a completely different way of being, one that lives in your heart and is fueled by unconditional love, connection, and compassion. So remember, you must accept where you are before where you are can change. So in the next video, you're going to discover what begins to change when these identity patterns are met with the power of acceptance rather than the force of resistance. You may be surprised by how naturally and how easily they begin to soften and transform. So if this information has been useful and you're new to this series, I've placed my previous video at the end. So if you'd like to learn more, just click on the video and it'll take you right there. So please remember, you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and indeed a beautiful treasure to behold. So I hope to see you in the next video. So bye for now.